Good morning, everyone. This is your host, Jordan with Conquering Trading and Investing, and we are getting ready right now to go over our Friday, November the 15th live session during the New York trading session. And it looks like it's going to be a good day. I am glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're watching this live. I'm glad that you're watching the replay. Welcome. And we have a lot happening since yesterday, a lot to cover this morning, and it looks like our patience yesterday is going to be paying off today. Let's take a look first at the calendar. We had all the news events so far out of the way. We had core retail sales coming in a little bit below expectations and retail sales coming in above expectations. Let's see what else we have going on today. We had last night, this is really important. We had Larry Kudlow come in yesterday evening and say that he expects that a U.S.-China trade deal shall be worked out pretty soon. They were just working on the finer points. And you could see what's happening. We have the Australian dollar leading the surge higher on that news, on the Australian dollar, US dollar, on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Also interesting to note, we looked at this late in the session yesterday, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Price was trading right about here where my pointer is, and we were looking for people who are in the trades for a target. Price came in and actually touched exactly this line of support that we put in right here as the target to look to take profits if you had what was not the best entry on that pair. We also have all the yen pairs, which were been showing strength the last couple of days, coming off now with a lot of weakness. And we're looking here, we're going to start off here on the US dollar, Japanese yen, where yesterday we left it off saying that two things. We would be looking for an entry if the support line held. I sent an update yesterday on the live stream video talking about how it looked at that point that price was going to be closing below this channel, and if it did close below this channel, we would be looking for sell side trades. Sure enough, it didn't close below the channel. It closed at the support of the channel. You can see how that's why you always look for the close and you don't take patterns and triggers on patterns before the close, because all these occasions down here, you also have the wicks wicking up and then the price closing into the channel. That's just what happened again yesterday. We're now looking for long side trades as discussed yesterday in the live stream. We're going to be dropping down right to the 8 hour to see what is going on. Good morning, Jeff. How you doing? Hope that you are well. Hope everyone watching is well. Happy Friday. Here's what I am looking at here on this. That's a New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I want to find the US dollar, Japanese yen. This is. All right. I see that price closed back into this channel. Yes, the true trend is negative. Nevertheless, I am looking for longs, and the way that I'm sorry, you guys have to excuse me 1 second. I'm basically just taking a pause right here. The true trend is negative. Okay. I am looking for longs, and I said yesterday I would be looking for longs if price were to go ahead and hold this line of support and they come up and make higher highs. Now, I didn't catch the entry right here off of this price bar, the higher high made on this price bar right here. I didn't catch that. I do now have a limit order in, a buy limit order, to see if I could get filled at the high of this price bar plus one. I have it in at 108.64. I have my stop loss down over here at 108.3. If that is triggered, that means price is now broken down out of that rising wedge, and I want to get out of that trade quicker than later. So I have my order in. It's not yet filled, and I'm hoping that it does get filled. I apologize. It is filled. It just probably got filled within the last 5 minutes or so. So I'm holding that trade. I'm holding that trade long. I have my stop in place. I don't have a take profit in yet because I'm going to be looking for a take profit first to see how price reacts. If it gets up here, if it gets up this far, I'll also be looking what happens around here. You can see over here you had resistance 3 times. It broke through over here. It's not something I'm even going to draw in on the chart because it's light, but I will watch how price reacts over here. If price gets rejected sooner, and then I would look for an exit. That would be, it looks like a 1 to 2 risk reward, but I am looking up here, and that's how I'm going to trade that pair. Let's find out what else is going on. Good morning, Paul. Good morning. So let's take a second pause. Let's look at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and I'm just thankful this morning that none of us chased after this trade yesterday, because prices was trading somewhere in this area yesterday morning. It was a beautiful trade. I didn't get the opportunity to get into that trade, although with the profit potential it offered over the last 2 days, I wish I had, but it was impossible. I didn't see it. There's something that I do want to look at. Always learning, always be learning, right? And what I want to look at is this pattern that occurred right over here. All right, so we have a 0 line cross, okay? And then the entry CCI never pulls back up to get into the trade. But this is what I'm going to be exploring. And to do this, I need to obviously pour back over past data on multiple pairs, multiple time frames. But what I'm going to be looking at is what happens when the true trend is trading, in this case, down, right? And the entry CCI never gets a chance to pull back. But what happens is you have an up price bar in the downtrend without the CCI pulling back, and then price makes the lower low. That looks like that might be a possible type of trade to explore, and I want to look into it. Now over here you had the 0 line cross, and you never had down price bar to get in. I'm not going to be looking for examples right now. Here's an example. Doesn't play out the same. You have the trend change right here, all up price bars. Here you have a down price bar. The entry CCI never gets below the 0 line. Price doesn't reverse on the next price bar, but on the next series it does. That's a decent scalp. Anyway, I just share that with you because it's something that I get excited when there's new things to explore and look to. And if you noticed before, when I just had to change the true trend, I was doing that yesterday afternoon as well. I'm always doing that. Morning, Raj. Good morning from across the pond. All right. So either which way, the point being made is good stuff that yesterday we stand aside on this trade. We've talked about several times how fickle the yen pairs and the Australian dollar is, how closely tied the Australian dollar is to the US-China trade deal situation. And we see that happening today and yesterday. But what does that mean? Well, we're going to start back here with the Australian dollar, because this looks like that we might have possible. I see here, you see this? This was resistance, support, right? Resistance broke, became support. And now we're trading back up at that point. This is an important point to be watching. We might have a trade developing short on the Australian dollar, US dollar, right? See that? We have trade criteria right now. If this reverses, you see that where you could see the resistance we're up against right now. If price reverses, this is a nice short trade to get into, and definitely on top of my watch list. I'm going to be looking for this trend to resume. Just because we had a talking point yesterday from Kudlow saying that the trade deal looks like it's going to be tied up, that's meaningless. You know, that's as fickle as the wind, and that could change direction over the weekend. This looks like, I don't think this is going to change today, during this trading session, but this goes to the top of the watch list. We are in a downtrend. We have short entry criteria. We're testing right now resistance. If this resistance does not hold here and price takes us into the trend, this is a nice setup. I'm looking to get short the Australian dollar, US dollar. In the meantime, we'll see if price does break through this resistance. And on that point, we'll look for the test of support to get long. But Right now, this looks like a possible short trade developing. Going to be following that. What else do we have? Do we have something like that developing on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen? First, let's look at it from the standpoint of the daily. And off the daily, all we see is that right now price is bouncing off of this support. It's coming back up here. Yeah, it's entering this bigger area. I'm going to pause for 1 second. Excuse me. All right, I'm back with you. We have what I see is the resistance more up here on this level. I'm going to draw in a blue box right now. I need that drawn in. All right, and I have this whole area of cluster here and here. So this is kind of this, the top part is the real resistance for me, but it starts down here as well. So this is the sell zone that I'm looking at right here, because the trend is down right now. So I want to drop down, look at that on the Australian dollar, on New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and no, I'm sorry, it's Australian dollar, Japanese yen, because that didn't look well at all. That looks better. Right, that looks better. I see the downtrend here. I see right now price is right here against that support. So that looks like, again, just similar to the Australian dollar. US dollar, this also here is giving me the opportunity to look for shorts. And I don't know if I'm going to get in. I'll only get in if price takes me back in, right? That's the filter. So that's good. If price is able to bounce off this resistance level right here, and again, it is even tighter up into this. This is the box we drew over here. It's on the daily. You can see it. So what happens if I press refresh? Will the box show up? There's our box. Right? Okay, so we're at the lower portion of the resistance right here. It's a little bit heavier as we get further, but if price gets rejected right over here, takes us down back into the trade. I have the wrong to trend up again. If price does start resuming its downtrend over here, that offers opportunity. So yesterday we had the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and US dollar both just like we had to stand aside because momentum was just too far against us. And today they look like they both possibly are offering the potential to be trade opportunities. Aside from that, right now I am entering the opposite way on the US dollar, Japanese yen, as price came off this resistance. I do know that true trend is down. I was looking for the trade off of the lower support of the rising wedge, being that price violated and looked like it was going to close outside of it and then came back into it. That's a good play because I know whether or not I'm wrong right away. If price trades below this low right here of this first up price bar out of the channel, then I'm assuming it's going to be resuming downwards and I'm just getting out of the trade. It's a pretty tight stop. It's about 33 pips. And then adversely, I have a nice take profit potential to the upside. Is there anything else that anyone is looking at this morning? Please let me know. I know that we're going at a pretty nice pace today because there's just seems to be lots of things developing. So I'm going to keep with that. But at the same time, as always, at any point you see something you want to look at, something that you are looking at, feel free to throw it out. That's what this is all about. Okay, this looks pretty cool. We are seeing, so a couple of things to talk about. The first thing about talking about is perfectionism, which doesn't work in trading. And everyone knows that I'm looking to pick my entry from the upper portion of this sell zone, right? And price almost touched the bottom of it. It didn't. It almost touched the bottom of the top half right there. and has since reversed, right? So me looking for the perfect entry might potentially have caused me to miss this trade. And you can't be a perfectionist in trading, right? There is a fine, subtle difference between looking for really solid setups and not just taking every setup, and then looking for the perfect setup and just not taking good setups. All right. So again, I'm always critiquing myself. I'm always learning from my trades. And as you can see, I learn a lot more even from trades that I don't take than from trades that I do. Good morning, Dennis. Glad you're with us today. Thank you for that. If someone is new and has not yet looked at the video in the description, towards the lower part of the description on how to use the true trend indicator, I highly recommend maybe just opening that up in a different tab and then getting back to that later. It's a really concise summary of how we trade with this, and that is definitely recommended. What we're looking here at the US, I'm going to pause for 1 second. All right, I am back. As I was saying, what's happening right now on the US dollar, Canadian dollar, is that it is possible this sell zone here is now being rejected, and it is possible we're going to get a trend resumption to the downside. If you step back, you can see the trend is down. We have this big sell zone picked out since down here, waiting for price to get into it for the upper portion. If we jump down now, I could get in safe. You could see here if price does roll over, and this is always a nice type of when you see the top being made, you kind of see price roll over like that. That's fantastic. If price gets below, I'm going to draw in this resistance. This is going to be important for later reference. You could see right here it was support. Support broke through, came back down, trust it broke through. Resistance held, resistance held, resistance held, broke through, support, support. So I'm drawing that line in there. If we break through this line, hopefully the true trend will be crossing to the downside at that point. Nevertheless, a break of this line here, that is a trade I will consider as an entry to play on that break. Will be rejected by this sell zone, and it looks like we could get a trend resumption. So we're a little high right now. Nothing's going to happen today on this pair, but it is possible as early as Monday we get a short entry down here, which is why I just want to be ready for it. I'm going to do the weekly Forex forecast over the weekend, take a broader look at all the currency pairs we trade, get our plan going into next week. But this is part of it. I know now on Monday, if I see a break of this line right over here, I'm going to be looking to see about getting short this pair. Hey, absolutely, and thank you for watching them. Whether you're watching with me live, and I do love when you all are here with me live and able to interact with you. It's the fun part for me. Or watching the replay, because it's an enormously helpful tool for myself in doing these. You see how I prepare my trades. It's a lot more effective doing it in this type of format as you're doing it in a teaching format. Yeah, so it's beneficial for me, and absolutely, I firmly believe anyone who's going ahead and not only watching what I'm laying out, but learning how to do that, right? Because by spending the time, whether it's live or watching these replays, you're learning the flow, you're learning how to see the market, you're learning how to think. Let's look. Let's keep going. Let's look at the euro, Japanese yen, and I mean, I have the buy zone laid out here, but to be honest, everyone, I was looking for definitely. I was not considering this. I was waiting for price to come closer to this line of resistance and the lower support of this channel, and that never happened, right? But price has clearly been this support. This is the red line I have here, which yesterday I did note in the live stream I wasn't considering it. It's held, right? And again, here you have a little bit of the perfectionist, but I'm sticking with what works, and I do have a high winning percentage because of it. So, but at the same time, I'm always looking to improve. I want to see where things went wrong, and as we're seeing over time, when things go wrong, it was just really trades missed that looked to be good trades in hindsight. And here you could see the play, and this was again largely news related. There's nothing I could do about it as far as getting back into the trade. Well, that's what we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to show you what is the possible situation that could occur. So looking here in the daily, there's a good possibility. I'm going to move up this buy zone because it's still a buy zone. The ideal situation would be if price were to consolidate near the support over here. It's going to test it a couple of times and come closer to this trend line support, this lower portion of the channel. So an entry would actually be on the 8-hour time frame. If that's occurring, you're going to see the true trend getting lower and lower, closer to the zero line, and we will get across and we will get an entry. Price does not usually move in spikes like this, up, down, up. More often than not, you get these areas of consolidation that are happening over here and here. And there is the good chance, there is a chance that will occur over here, and we still have opportunity to get long if price is going to show us that, as well as to get short anytime we get a break of this trend line support over here. That's going to open up the opportunities for good potential to the short side, because there is a lot of profit potential to the downside. But right now we're waiting on this. This is something that is on hold, and we're going to watch how the euro Japanese yen develops. And it's going to be quite a while before a trade develops in there. It could be a few days. Look at our friend, the pound US dollar. And we see that, I see that it looks like we're breaking out of this triangle to the upside. Let's take a look. I'm going to just draw this in a little bit clearer. All right. There's the slope that's been violated today. It's broken. It looks to be a buy. Let me tell you how I'm going to play it. Are people taking this breakout today? Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. I do know that I got burnt last Friday at this time, taking the violation to the downside, right? So that's fresh in my mind, and that's sticking with me. I just got burnt last week playing with fire, taking this breakdown out of the lower end of this triangle. And then on Monday, that reversed back up into the pattern, and now it's breaking out to the upside. So I'm not looking at all to take that long, but I will be looking absolutely to see if it offers any opportunity on Monday. And by opportunity, I mean, see that I do have the trend did turn positive up here. Opportunity, I'm going to look for a retest to make sure that this violated trend line holds a support. I'm going to wait for that entry CCI to pull back against the uptrend, showing me that price is near term oversold in an uptrend. And then as price resumes, if price resumes back upwards, then I'll look for this trade. But this is a trade that's offering a first take profit all the way up at 1.3 at the whole number level. It's about 100 pips up from where it is right now. So it's a nice potential. And then there's the possibility that breaks upwards and through always, and that could just lead to a windfall trade. So I'm going to be watching it, but right now I'm just on the side. This is going to be a good one to prepare for in the weekly Forex forecast, and just have that plan laid out for what's going to happen on Monday or Tuesday with this pair. So right now the pairs to watch have the US dollar, Japanese yen. Just got into an entry that's about 10 pips into profit. But the Australian dollar, US dollar, and the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, if price does start resuming downtrend on both of those look like pairs, whether or not I doubt they'll occur today, but there's a good chance that happens on Monday. We're going to watch out for that. Let's see. All right, a couple of questions I want to cover. I'm looking at the questions right now, and again, very happy to do the live streams. Thank each and every one of you so far who's gone ahead and hit that like button. I do ask anyone who's in here this morning enjoying the live stream to also go ahead and hit that like button. That's going to help other people get have YouTube show this video in the algorithm showing up. They could also get in here and join in with us. We're looking at, I believe you're asking Jeff, and there's two questions here. If I'm not long on the daily on BTC, on Bitcoin, and then we also we just looked at the pound US dollar. So let me bring up Bitcoin. I'm going to be looking at Bitcoin using the way that I trade it. I trade Bitcoin mostly here on the 12-hour time frame using the true trend for BTC. And I know that we're short here, which means on the sidelines waiting for a trade to develop. But I want to take a look at it with you. And then I'm going to look at the daily, since that's specifically what we're looking to look at. All right, so this is traded. And if you look in the videos, I believe if you look on the homepage of the channel, this is the top featured video, and it talks about how to trade Bitcoin using the true trend BTC. And clearly we're just on the sidelines because the trend is down. We're only looking to be long that when the trend is up, and because Bitcoin trends for long periods of time, it's going to keep you out of the down moves and keep you into the big moves. You do get some back and forths like right over here. But if you would have took these back and forths, which was one trade to the upside, downside, upside, downside, in the long run, that pays off handsomely. Right now, though, we are seeing Bitcoin trading right now down to this support. It is trading at the support area right now. I don't know whether or not that's going to hold. I'm not really worried about it though, because I just know if I follow the true trend. If you're trading on the daily, the trend is obviously up. If I zoom back out with you on the daily, looking at the true trend BTC, I want you to see. Now, I have done the research, and using the 12-hour is more profitable than using the daily, which is why I use the 12-hour. You could see though, using just the daily alone, I mean, it's hard to compare using the daily with the true trend BTC against any other system. Obviously, that's gonna outperform it. You can see it right here. You have been holding Bitcoin from, like, let's call it $280, and then your first exit would have been up here at 8,000, and then you would have been on the sidelines somewhere around 7,500, all the way to you got back up to 6,000, and been holding it long since. And on the daily time frame, this is still holding a buy, but you would have been holding from all the way down here, from close to 5,500. So you're just sitting well into profit, and the fact that we're trading right here is not really bothering you. But I'm trading this off the 12-hour, and the 12-hour has this down right now. I don't see a reason to be long Bitcoin here, even just looking right at the daily. What I do see happening right now is that, right? So until that breaks, there's no need to be long Bitcoin, and that's going to definitely happen. Keep it simple, keep it easy, go with what works. Just stay right here on the 12-hour. When the 12-hour crosses, the true trend crosses to the upside, you'll be in the trade, and then whatever happens, you're gonna be on the right side of the market. That's the way to trade it. There's also a very helpful video that was released, I believe, the day before yesterday, and it's called it's regarding the Bitcoin halving. highly recommend looking at that video. It also talks about, and I believe that's exactly what's going to happen, where price will be exactly at the next halving, give or take $1,000. But I'm pretty confident that's where price is going to be. And then it talks about where price should be heading in the next bull market. So Jeff, you're saying BTC and Bitcoin is causing some confusion. I need you to elaborate on that, only because BTC is Bitcoin. All right, let's look in while I'm waiting to be on the same page. At the euro, British pound, and that doesn't look promising at all, right? There's nothing going on. Everyone knows we're just waiting specifically for price to get above this little pink line right here. At that point, we'd be looking for a long-term long. But in the meantime, I'm not looking to get short this pair. I'm waiting to see whether or not this trend line here does hold as now support. It was resistance, broke here, price went back into the range. The support tested positively, and now this is broken. It's been tested once, bounced off. I don't know what's going to happen there, but there's nothing tradable there for me at all. I expect this is interesting. This could be providing a very nice setup to the upside. So we're going to take a look at this. Jeff, we're gonna let's private message in depth over on baby pips. That way we could. I just want to. I'm not clear, and I want to be clear with that on you. So I think by us being able to communicate over there, that would be awesome. But we're gonna do that today. Only because sometimes it's a little hard to understand why I'm focused in on the live stream and things are being explained like that or over message. So the euro, it sounds like there was just a confusion on whether or not, I guess maybe the correct true trend was being used and whether or not we had a crossover. I'm certain we're all clear now, though. On the euro, Australian dollar, this looks like a beautiful buy set setting up. So it looks like the Australian dollar pair is offering all the potential setups going into Monday. So far today, the only setup that has occurred has been on the US dollar, Japanese yen, and that is to the long side. You could just scroll back earlier into the first 5 minutes of this stream to find out about that. So here's the setup that we are looking at, though, on the euro Australian dollar. You notice here yesterday price really broke out of this range. This is last week's range in this blue box right here, and then price blew past it. So we're going to jump down to the 8-hour to see where the entry might lie for that. And this looks nice. You could see that a couple of things have happened. After the breakout, price is now pulled back. You could see it appear here. The true trend cross positive, and the entry CCI, which offers us the possibility for trade criteria, is pulled back against the trend. This is, instead of chasing price, giving us the opportunity to get long again. The same thing here. If price does resume upwards by making a higher high than the previous price bar, that will be my entry signal right now. But I have to let you know, because we have 3 pairs all with the same, we have the euro, the yen, and the dollar all offering setups with the Australian dollar. Because I'm taking 3 trades with the same currency, my trade positions will be much smaller than normal. I will make I probably trade each one with a 0.5% risk, a total of 1.5 risk total between the 3 trades. And that's because they're all entering with the same currency pair. Let's see what happened here. If we're getting a possible breakout to the upside, I need to show you on the daily on the pound Canadian dollar as well. So it's not just the US dollar. This makes playing this trade a little bit better. All right, because you notice that we do have on the pound US dollar, we do have a possible breakout happening right here, right now, out of this triangle pattern. It's a continuation pattern. And especially after this false breakout last Friday, that makes the possibilities of this holding a lot stronger. A lot of traders got caught off on the wrong side here. I did. I got out of the trade really quickly. My stop at the time of placement was the high of the bar that made the breakout. But you do have traders who are short stuck still this week. They spent the entire week hoping that price breaks back down, and now it's breaking to the other side. But you also have a pattern. You see over here, this red line is the resistance going back to over here, and price has not reached that yet. On this smaller area right here, you can see price is close to testing the height of it. I do like the fact that we're seeing the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar is stronger than the dollar today, but weaker than the pound, right? So being that we're seeing a possible breakout occur here, and if it does, this will be a trade that looks like it offers some nice potential. The first resistance is not up to 1.735, so that's over 200 pips. If we do get the breakout, which we haven't yet today, as we are on the dollar, this will be a trade that could develop early next week. On the adverse side, it is also possible that what happens is there's a breakdown to this side. If the Canadian dollar winds up really just gathering some strength versus the dollar, that could cross over into this pair as well, and we could get some fuel to the downside. So this pair is going to still offer opportunity to trade either to the upside or the downside. We're going to see a break either way happen next week as we're getting to the pinnacle right here. And this is a pair that will go to the top of the watch list as well. But again, it is happening here today. So this is where the focus needs to be. I'm not taking that breakout as just discussed, but I will be looking to get into this trade or the next possible opportunity it offers. So that will probably occur on Monday. I'm going to wait here. I'm waiting to see what happens if this entry CCI gets pulled back against the trend, showing me that it's a safer entry, as well as a test of the breakout here, which will happen somewhere over here, perhaps. We'll see what happens on that. Let's look over and continue. That's it. We've now covered all of the pairs for the day. The opportunity is lying with the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. It's possible as early as Monday, we do get a trade to the downside if price resumes its downtrend. We have the true trend trading downwards. If you haven't already watched the video in the description on the true trend, learning how to use it, that gives a 10-minute overview and summary of how this works. We have the entry CCI, which gives us the signal now pulled back against the new downtrend. We're under this resistance. So whether or not this resistance holds, we're going to find out. Only price will take us back into that trade. And that's also occurring here on the Australian dollar, US dollar as well. Same exact setup. And they both look like good possible opportunities. And again, the filter here is price. Only if price resumes the downtrend do we get back into it. The pound US dollar, some people might be playing that breakout. I'm waiting for an opportunity to get in. I got a little bit shell shocked taking the breakout last Friday and then having to take a small loss on that. And so it's the same thing happening. It could be. I'm gonna see what happens here though. I'm gonna wait for that trade to develop a little. And then we have the US dollar, Japanese yen. This was discussed yesterday in the live stream, looking for the entry. I didn't get the entry until this morning with a limit order, but I did get filled, and I'm just holding this trade right now. A little earlier in the stream, the first 5 minutes or so, it gives the levels and talks about how I got into that trade. I want to look at the calendar and see what's coming up next week. So Australian dollar, we have the monetary policy minutes. So what's important about this is if it's revealed in the minutes at all that they're looking to go into a period of pause, with not looking for any future cuts in the near term, which I believe they're going to say. I believe they're going to say that because they talked recently about some type of slow turning occurring. I think they're hoping that a U.S.-China trade deal does come to fruition. Just be alert on that. There's the possibility that we do get some appreciation, further appreciation off those minutes on the Australian dollar. So this makes things a little more difficult, and this is why we're looking at the calendar, because we just looked at 3 possible trades occurring on the Australian dollar on Monday, but then later that evening we have the monetary policy meeting minutes. That makes things tough. So we could talk about that further on Monday, depending on where price opens up during the Asian session and what it looks like Monday morning. But what that does mean is if I do take any trades on this pair, instead of looking, I definitely would make sure going into it that I either get out of that trade or that my stop has been moved down to break even if I was able to get into a trade that has profit. But we will review this more on Monday as we're looking at the current state of the market and these pairs and these setups. But that's why we look at the calendar. You can't get into trades without knowing if you have any high impact news events coming up, because that could change everything quickly. We have the FOMC meeting minutes, probably won't be a big deal. Same thing with the ECB. Over here, though, this will affect the euro. We have the on Friday overnight during the European session, we have out of Europe the PMI, the manufacturing, services and manufacturing out of Germany, out of both France and Germany. Those are big ones. And then also the following morning out of the US, the flash manufacturing PMI. So those are all, Friday's going to be a big day. It's going to set the tone for the following week. Thank you, Jeff. Now I understand perfectly. And I know that we let me pull up the chart so everyone's on the same page. We're going to be looking at the pound CAD. We're looking at, thank you for clearing that up for me. All right. First of all, we're looking here now at the true trend BTC. There are 2 true trends. If you go into TradingView and start searching them, you'll see true trend BTC and the true trend. The true trend is the one that we use for our daily look at the at currency pairs. The true trend BTC we trade off the 12-hour on Bitcoin, and also we use for this profitable, very easy and profitable trading strategy, perfect for those with a full-time job. Okay, and Jeff is saying on the pound Canadian dollar, we did have a zero line cross that took place about 5 days ago or so, and is now into profit a little bit. And so the stop loss was down here. Let me draw that in. The stop loss is always, this is the previous move. The true trend was down over here, and the entry occurred over here. So you have about, that's it. We're going to need a breakout to the upside here in order to hit that first take profit for sure. But that trade right now is currently into profit. This is not one of the pairs I trade. The 5 pairs I trade on the system are the euro, Japanese yen, pound, US dollar, Japanese yen, euro, US dollar, and Australian dollar, Japanese yen. But it could be traded on any pair. And if you're trading it, it's just super important to take every zero line cross that occurs. This is the difficult part of the system to trade, but it is crucial. You see all the zero line cross, you have to take them, because each one is going to, you're not going to take your full loss. Your full loss potential is 1.8%. The zero line crosses are going to limit your loss there on each one of those. But once you get out of those areas, you're going to catch the big move, right? And you could see this pair doesn't trend that well. The pairs that I've noted that I trade, they do trend very well. Nevertheless, you will catch your full profit potential if you take all the zero line crosses that occur. That's the one thing that I have to note, is that when trading the system, you have to take all signals. That's why I traded off the daily time frame, so that I am able to take each and every signal. It can be traded off the 4-hour, off the 8-hour, but you have to take all signals. Yep, that's true. I am long that trade. I am long the pound US dollar. All right. I got short right here when we had the zero line cross on the pound US dollar to the downside. And then I took I believe it was a 0.55% loss on the next zero line cross. And then since I am long and I'm just waiting that out, the fact that we've looked to be breaking to the upside off of that triangle will probably lead that to at least take a first order take profit, which is 2-time risk. And that looks to be good. While we're here, I just want to look really quick. So in the euro, Japanese yen, we're not close to a signal. US dollar, Japanese yen, we're getting closer, right? We still got some time there to a zero line cross to the upside. And that looks to be it. So in the next signal, we have obviously the pound US dollar in play is close to the zero line. Yeah, this trade could go into profit, but it could also cross to the downside. Want to just keep watch on that one. And the next zero line cross might occur on the US dollar, Japanese yen. Thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up. That's always something that should be reviewed, especially in the live streams together every day. And if anyone is just joining us, go ahead to the channel right now. Look for this video, this very easy and profitable trading strategy. This is a strategy that every single trader should learn and understand. And the reason being is because you're going to learn a lot from it, especially from the money management employed on it, as well as by simply following this system. You will be profitable, and that alone is everything. Traders are struggling. They're struggling for direction. They're struggling for a plan. They're struggling to be able to profit from the markets. All you need to do is follow this, right? I'm giving you the tools here to learn to think for yourself, to trade for yourself, to really develop your skills as a trader. That's what we do together every day. I'm still, after 19 years, fine-tuning mine and working on mine every single day. But this gives you the mentorship. This gives you the direction, the coaching that you need. But this right here will just give you the guide, the game plan from scratch. You could just follow this and be profitable. What else are we looking at today? We've covered everything. If you're just joining the live stream now, I do suggest either you go back towards the beginning, the first 20 minutes of the live stream. You could take a look at all of the currency pairs currently in play. And also get a really nice summary of what we're looking at, how to look at the market. But if anyone at this point of the live stream has any questions, anything they want to look at, talk about, or discuss, we have the time right now. Later this afternoon, I will be preparing the weekly Forex forecast, which everyone enjoys. Look for that to be published tomorrow. If you haven't already subscribe to the channel, take a moment right now and subscribe to that channel. You'll be able to receive that update that video is published tomorrow. A lot of traders like to take the time over the weekend, maybe with a cup of coffee, and go ahead and review the plan for the week ahead. It helps to have the plan in place. It helps to review. Thank goodness we look at the calendar. We know that on Monday, even though we have 3 setups potentially occurring on the Australian dollar, we also have a high impact news event. That's something we want to watch out for. You have to be aware in trading. You have to be aware of everything that's going on around you. Yep. So Jeff, I believe what you're asking is here. I currently have a trade on the pound US dollar that has a risk of 1.8%. Each series of trades is taken with 3 separate orders. So each trade on this system right here, this very easy and profitable trade system, occurs in 3 separate orders, all of different trade sizes, and the total risk is 1.8%. If I have a trade on the pound US dollar, would I take a signal here? Because look, on this system I trade here on the pound US dollar, I have a buy signal. I'm looking to get into this trade long. I have the buy signal because we've broken to the upside out of this triangle. I will be looking next week, specifically on Monday, see what happens. If I get entry criteria here, if the entry CCI gets pulled back against the trend, if I get a test of this breakout and this resistance now is support, and then price resumes, I will get long. And will I take further, am I taking a further position when I already am risking 1 point? These are two different systems I'm trading on separate accounts. So to me, they're completely separate. For the fact that on another system, I have a trade that I'm risking 1.8% of my account is irrelevant to me trading this system because it's traded on a separate account. It is completely separate. I don't even consider the two. They are separated. Yep. No, I know, and I just try to be very detailed in any explanation with everything. It's really helpful. I assume you understand probably quicker than I finished explaining, but there are others listening, and if someone asks a question, that means other people have the same question, and just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We just really want to avoid all confusion, and the more we could explain things to everyone, just the more help it brings. And that's it. We really want to just help everyone, want to raise everyone up. So what else are we looking at today? I really enjoyed this session so far. Yesterday was tough, right? We're looking at these pairs. We're looking at the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, and they were just falling, especially the Australian dollar, US dollar, and Australian dollar, Japanese yen, just falling into profit. And I was on the sidelines and I was watching and I couldn't get in. And that's tough. And we had been watching that trade since up here. I'm just waiting for an entry. We never got into it, and it played out perfect. Yes, the line we drew in yesterday when someone had a question of where to look for take profit is exactly what was hit. You could see price just pierced a few pips below it, but we waited. That paid off today, and we might have opportunities to get short this pair if the trend resumes to the downside. I don't know what's going to happen. That's why we're just going to wait. We're going to wait for price. But today, actually, we had a lot of opportunities being offered and possible things developing. It looks like Monday could be a possibly good day. Kind of puts a little bit of clouds on the sunshine, knowing that any Australian dollar trades we get into has this risk event, but we'll deal with that on Monday, depending on if there is opportunity. There's also the possibility that this resistance we're here right now, the bottom of this blue box, you could see this small resistance here. You could see it on the lower time frame as well, that this is not going to hold, that we're going to get a test up off this higher, this stronger resistance up here. And that could coincide then also with this news event. It could be on Tuesday, that we get the entry onto that pair. I don't know what's going to happen. That's what we're going to watch and see what happens. Roz has a question on trade management. Let's say that we're in a multi-day trade and there's a high impact news events coming up. How do you handle this? Okay, so what I'm gonna go back here to the euro US dollar, because this was the most recent multi-day trade that I was in. And also just want to note, yesterday, all right, first let's start from the beginning. This was the stop loss after it was moved. I'm going to go down to the 8-hour time frame. You see here on the daily, when this trend line was broken, we were watching this trend line. When this was broken, we were then looking for shorts, okay? We were looking for longs all the way up here until this trend line was broken. At that point, we started looking for for shorts. And then here's what happened. I'm just going to really talk you through this really quick and nice and easy. What happened was we had the break, and then price came up and tested that break of support, which held at resistance, and then came down nicely. That was a beautiful trade. And again, I wish and was wishing I had gotten to that trade over here. That's the perfect entry, right? And then as soon as price started coming down, especially when price took out after testing to the upside, took down this low, that's the best entry that you could have gotten to the trade. I didn't get into it. Where I got into entry, and because the true trend was positive, right? So I decided I'm going to wait and stand aside, and that's okay. This is the better entry. I didn't get it. I waited for the true trend. I waited for the true trend to turn negative, And then I had here the entry CCI, this blue line. Again, in the description below, you'll see how to use this true trend indicator in that video towards the bottom of the description. But here I had entry criteria, and here I got into my trade on this price bar. On this down red price bar right there was my entry, and my stop. Well, let's draw it there in that yellow line that's connected to that red line. That was my stop. You could see on the next price bar, I almost got stopped out, but I didn't. I got lucky and the trend resumed downward. There was a possibility for another trade entry right here. We looked at it the live stream, but I was in a trade that had an entry near to it, so I didn't take it. I slid aside. It was a pretty big position size trade. And then price went into profit. I took another entry down over here with you all on, I believe it was on Monday, and I took profit on this trade right here. I had this trade open. What happens if I'm in a trade that's into profit multi-days and there's a high impact news event? Let's say the ECB was meeting with an expected rate announcement. This is a super high impact, or the FOMC was meeting with again, a rate decision. Both of those trades would have been high impact news events, the highest. What would I have done? Well, let's see. I was here in profit, probably about 1 to 2. My choice, Raj, would have been, and it's all fluid. It depends each time what's going on with the trade. If you're not into profit and you have a high news impact event coming up, you probably wouldn't have gotten into that trade in the first place, but you would get out of it before the news event. You would just take the small loss and get out of it. If you're into profit, though, which is what you're asking in question, what do you do? Well, now going into each high impact news event like that, we will look at what we expect to happen to begin with, because more often than not, we will know what is going to happen and have a plan to trade it. I'm also going to show with you how I trade all those rate announcement decisions. That's going to be super fun. But at the same time, if we expect, I would at least set the stop to break even, right? And if I thought there was any chance that the trade had the potential to go against me or was unknown, I would take profit. I wouldn't hold it. If the possibility existed that because of the decision that the trade could really move in our favor, I would set the stop to break even. If there was a possibility that there was going to be volatility and I really wasn't sure what was going to happen, I would take the profit, because if I set the stop to break even, I'd probably get stopped out of it, even if price went in the other direction. And we would not get into the trade if it looked like things went. Excuse me, I'm going to mute this for 1 second. All right, I'm back with you. Raj, so again, it's fluid. It's something that as these events occur in real time and the trades we're in, we will look at. At very least, I'm setting my stop to break even. I am taking profit because I want to take that profit if it's squirrely, if it's not what looks to be a sure thing. And if there's a high probability or there's a strong probability that by holding that trade, it could really turn out to be like a home run, I'm going to set my stop to break even and see if that happens. So again, it's just a fluid situation. It depends on what the high impact news event is. If, for example, we got into these Australian dollar trades, if the trend started resuming downwards on Monday morning, or even perhaps during the London session, and I had a limit order that was triggered and I got short this pair, right? And then I know later in the day I have this monetary policy meeting minutes being released, I'll just take profit. If the trade offers an entry and is into profit during New York, right, before 11 o'clock Eastern time, before the London close, I'll take profit on the trade, knowing that it's just an unknown what's going to happen up here. But if it's But if it's a multi-day trade, if it's a trade that's well into profit and I have the opportunity to set it to break even, and it looks like there's the possibility exists that trade could really move into profit, I want to hold that trade. That's a gift. And also, again, if it's unknown or could be volatile, I want to take profit because I don't want to lose that profit. So I want to take that profit off the table. So I just want to be aware of what time it is during the day as well. Right now, it is currently 10 o'clock New York time. What I expect is going to happen, I'm going to tell you that right now, is I expect the direction that we've seen currently. We didn't look at gold. We're going to look at gold in a minute. The direction that we've seen so far take place this morning are going to start extending into the next hour. Let's see if that happens or not. Or adversely, if in the next hour, if we start seeing things come off a little bit, I believe after the next hour, after 11 o'clock, they'll start extending. But that's it. I mean, I'm just holding this US dollar Japanese yen trade. I have my stop in right over here at 108.30. It's below this up price bar that took us back into the trade channel. The reason I don't have it any lower, perhaps the lower swing low would be down here. My trade would have to be much smaller, the trade size, if I took a stop this far down, as well as if price trades below this 108.30, that means that it's resumed back again outside of this trend line. Yesterday, we were looking at this and I sent a comment out to everyone that price was trading outside of this rising wedge on the lower trend line support. So we could begin looking, if it closes outside of that channel, looking for shorts. It closed inside that channel again, and it's now trading up. We did speak about how this was a long entry we were looking for in yesterday's live stream. If it bounced off the support, and if it rolls over and starts making a lower low here, well, then it's a failed trade. It didn't work out. I'm happy to get out that trade quickly. And you know, if the trade doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm not attached to it whatsoever. Do want to look at gold here with you. Thank you, Raj. Appreciate that. I do. Let's look at gold. This is also offering nice opportunity for us. This is going to go on our watch list, and I'm going to show you why right now. All right, a couple of things just to give you the quick overview. We had this channel, you could see here, that we just drew in for reference. And then price, once it broke down out of this channel, we began looking for shorts trades. This was textbook what happened next. This was price came back up and tested the breakdown of support, and it is now resistance. This over here is the most optimal entry on the trade. You could see it, right? You can see here, I'm looking at the daily right now. We'll drop down to the 8 hour in a moment, looking for an entry. But there was the first trade that happened. I actually got into this trade. It was, I took profits down here. Let me show you on the 8 hour. This is in the past live streams as it occurred in real time. We could always look there for reference. I believe what happened was over here, we had that breakout, that breakdown, the test of resistance, and then on the 8 hour over here, I believe it was, I don't know how I got in at 1503, but that's where my entry was, and then I took profit. I think I believe at, I don't remember if it was 14. I think it was 1480. That doesn't even matter. It's in the past live streams. What we're looking at right now, though, is we saw another break of support down over here on this big protrusive price bar, right? And then since price has come up and it's now testing and tested that's broken support, which is holding as resistance, price is coming off. You could see right over here, where price tested that resistance and came back down. We had entry criteria. We had the true trend down with the entry CCI up. And this was an entry right here at 1463. Price is now trading higher than that. You can see the entry CCI is again being pulled up. We're under this resistance. So this makes for a good trade. If price comes back down here, if price makes a lower low than the previous price bar, that's an entry. It's an entry I will take, and I'm going to take it because my stop loss is going to be right above here, right above the support over here. It won't even be higher than this red line of support I've drawn in. It'll just be right above here at 1476. You know, the spread's about throwing an extra pip to 1478. On gold, I keep the position size short. It really moves, but I'll be looking for the price to make a lower low than over here, right? I'll be looking for all the way down here. We have the whole number at 1400. And then we have 1430, the high of that support. That's my take profit zone. So that could be a potentially nice trade. I want to draw in this box right here because I mentioned it over and over again between 1430 and the whole number 1400, which is my take profit zone. And also maybe perhaps a possible buy zone to be looking for a longer term trade here. But right now, as it stands, if I get into this trade right here that we're talking about right here, I will look down in this blue zone here for a take profit. I'll look how price first reacts off this upper end. If price stalls out or starts bouncing, I will take profit right away. If price blows through there, then my take profit becomes down lower. You could see that played out here on the euro US dollar. Let me just show you on the 8-hour time frame. We had these two lines in here, and I said I was going to look to see what happened as price came down over here for this entry all the way up here. As price came down over here, you could see it stalled out. I took profit, and since it has come off. I like it when things go my way, when things work out according to plan. You know, the fact that I was able to take my trade profit over here, because if price had fallen through here, if it moved with momentum, and I want to show you what that looks like here on the gold. Look at the support here. You see how price blew past there? If price blows past a support level, then you want to hold it to take profit later, right? But if price starts stalling out and bouncing off a support level, you have to take profits. It's really important. All right, so we've been live now for about an hour, a little over an hour. We've covered a lot. Can you imagine how much we cover in 1 hour? I really firmly believe it. I know that we're very new. We only started this a couple of weeks ago, less than a couple of weeks ago. We do stream live now every day at 9 a.m. Eastern time, though, and I am thankful. It looks like we're building a nice bunch of people, community here. But what's offered here, I believe that's self-explanatory and speaks for itself. I enjoy sharing it with you. And I'm really glad for the community that it brings as well. If you haven't already gone ahead, if you're watching this now, if you've learned anything today, please go ahead and hit that like button. I'd really appreciate that. If you went ahead and just hit that like thumbs up, because that's going to help Google algorithm know that people enjoy this content. They're going to suggest it to other people, and we're going to get seen. We're going to get this information seen in front of other people. If you're also new and you haven't already gone ahead and watched this video on a very easy and profitable trading strategy, I highly recommend and suggest you do that. It is going to help teach you a lot about what it takes to be profitable. It is very easy to learn. It's laid out very well in this half-hour video, this 26-minute video, and it's also going to teach you a lot about what it takes to profit using money management, and as well as you be able to then take that information and kind of implement that into other aspects of your trading. It is really valuable. If anyone else is looking at any other currency pairs this morning, I want to take a look at it. This is a great time. I will be later this afternoon going ahead and preparing the weekly Forex forecast. That one has a little bit more of production to it, so it's the flow of it is easy to watch. That will be published tomorrow morning, usually about 8 o'clock Eastern time. You could go ahead and not only subscribe to the channel, but go ahead and hit that bell, and then you'll be alerted when that video comes out. It's a really good video for going ahead and being on the same page as us, as well as having a plan going into next week. It is so much easier to trade the markets when you have a plan. When you have a plan day in and day out that you're reviewing, you're able to adjust as the market flows and adjusts. And going into the trading session with a plan, you're going to find out that first of all, you're going to start making a lot more money than you were, and you're going to find out that your profit percentage starts increasing a lot, as opposed to a lot of traders just jump into the market, they pull up a currency pair, and they take a trade. Ridiculous. I think I want to work on adding some kind of down tempo music to these live streams in the background for moments when we could have some pauses. I want to take a look now, since things are slow. I would be looking over here at Forex Live to see what's going on. As you could see, my only main concern is what's going on technically, what's being priced into the markets. I believe that the charts price everything in, but at the same time, I also like to be really aware of everything that's happening in the markets fundamentally. And when I have downtime, I'm able to go ahead and see what's going on over there. So obviously we could see, I mean, we saw the breakout happening on the charts on the pound US dollar, but I could see here that this was news related, and that's the reason we're getting for these that breakout. So that's it. I mean, there's not much going on or worth our time. Yeah, that's true, Kent. We started last week, and we had at maximum probably about 10 of us in here together. And in 1 week, have double that. And you know what? I don't think it's going to be for probably about 6 months or so until we have the type of community and following that this type of content deserves, and information and what people are learning here. But what I do think, and what I think is going to happen by then, though, is I think that those have been here from right now, those that are with us in the beginning, that their understanding of the markets is going to be, close to on par with mine. You guys are gonna really up their game. They really have gonna leveled up their trading ability, their trading skill, their trading knowledge. We're gonna have some really good traders in here. That's gonna help me out a lot. It's gonna help my trading, right? You have other people who are able to challenge you, to push you further, to help you increase your performance. That's going to be a huge bonus for me, as well as those involved, as well as it's a lot better to have that foundational community. If the community starts getting and growing, and the bigger it does. So it's really important. It's important to take that slow growth. But I believe it's nice to see just in 1 week, having this many of us in here together right now. And I did pop in yesterday to another live stream. It was during later in the New York trading session. There were over 500 people in there, and I saw I could only keep it on for a couple of minutes. It was like it was, I don't know how much about trading it really was. Hanero, good morning, welcome. Or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Glad you're here with us. I have a friend just sent me a text, and it says 6,587% gain. I guess he's looking at a cryptocurrency called Block V. And that's crazy, right? Can you imagine a 6,000% gain in one day? But the only person who made that gain was, the founder of that project. That's not something you want to trade at when you see large gains occur like that. That's probably the top. It's not what you want to do. Is you want to make money. You want to make money by having a trading plan that's going to consistently profit from the markets. You do not want to look at trading as gambling. It is not. It is anything but. It takes lots of planning. It takes lots of research. It takes lots of skill, and it takes lots of work. That's how you profit consistently. Yeah, Hanero, excellent question. Actually woke up early this morning. That was on my mind. And so what I am going to do is I am going to put together some. I know every day as we trade this together, the process is laid out, that everyone's knowledge increases every day. And that's because things are fluid. This is a black and white trading system that's rule based, that never changes, that could be explained and laid out in one video, and then people are able to follow it. Of course, we do have that thread on Baby Pips and Forex Factory answering questions and help explaining, as well as can be done in the comments as well. But this is black and white rule based. The trading that we implore on a day-to-day basis with the true trend is more fluid. It does offer discretionary elements. But there is a method to it. And I'm going to work on articulating that and laying that out in a more, if someone were to be joining us for the first time, could go ahead, be pointed to that link, watch a video on it. We have the video explaining what the true trend is, but explaining what we're doing day to day, the setups that we're looking for, how we take them, what type of risk we're using, how generally stops are placed, where we look for take profits, what we're looking for and how we do it. I'm going to be putting together more of an instructional introduction type based video, really explaining that. Absolutely, I'm going to be doing that. Hey, Stefan, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you found us. I'm assuming you found us probably through Google recommending us, and that's why I appreciate all of you who do find this content instructional and that go ahead and hit that like button and help the Google algorithm slowly learn about us, and more people could get involved. But that's all good. All we're going to do is continue every day, Monday through Friday, meet up at 9 o'clock. Those that can make the live stream, if you can't, it's posted. You can watch the replay. The first half hour of that replay, the first 20 minutes, really gives the market overview, looking at all the pairs, looking at the pairs that are offering the highest potential setups, and laying out our plan of attack for the day ahead for this session that we're currently in, as well as for the next 24 hours. You could just go ahead and catch up with us and watch that. But like I said, every day we'll just keep doing what we do, and then hopefully the people that should be in here with us will be able to do that. Could see that even this breakout is extending. I'm not looking to take this breakout. It is a valid trade. The reason I'm not taking this breakout of this triangle, which is a nice continuation pattern of this long, huge move up here, is because last Friday at this time, I took the breakdown, right? I got stopped out of that trade. And I'm not looking to get bit really again on that trade. Both were because of news events out of the UK. The breakdown was, and as well as this breakout is, and probably this is going to hold, and I hope it does hold. But if it holds, I'm going to be able to get in this trade next week. I'll be jumping down to the 8-hour time frame with you. I see the trend is now turned positive on that breakout. I'm going to wait for the entry CCI to be pulled back against the trend, to be like price is near term oversold against an uptrend. And at that same time, hopefully we'll be getting a test of this broken resistance, which would now be support. And then when price gets me in, I'll get into that trade. There's the possibility this trade could run away and I'll never get an entry. And that happens. That's the cost of doing business. But thankfully, because of this trading system, I am also in a separate account long the pound ever since this looks like on Monday. Since the close of Monday, I've been long. Anera, I generally almost always take my entries off of the 8-hour. If things are, I first look at the daily time frame. I always look what's going on in the daily. After finding out what's going on in the daily, I jump down to the 8-hour on that same pair, and then I look for my entry off the 8-hour time frame. The 8-hour time frame is fantastic for trading for a couple of reasons. The first reason is it offers 3 signal periods per day that is tradable by everyone and everyone, right? The 4-hour time frame offers 6 signal periods a day. It's a little more difficult to trade, as well as it is more choppy. The 8-hour time frame filters out a lot of market fluctuation and noise, and it is a better time frame to trade than the 4-hour. But if something is moving fast, if something is moving with a lot of momentum, then absolutely I will base my trade off of the first looking at the daily, dropping down to the 8-hour, and then I could even sometimes look down to the hour or 4-hour for a precise entry. Absolutely, you will find 90% or more of my trades come off of the 8-hour time frame. And you will see the next time we get a FOMC live meeting or ECB meeting that I trade that off the 1 minute. And I'm going to show you how I do that, but not until then, because does it make sense talking about something? It makes much more, it's much better to show in real time and do it live in real time with you. Now, so Hanero, that's a really good point you brought up. You said you've been following this process on a demo account. You're finding you have losing trades. Now, if you go back over these last 2 weeks and you look at all the live streams we've done, I've only taken a handful of trades. I've taken one trade that was a winner on gold. I've taken 2 trades that were successful on the euro US dollar. One was really a nice trade, but nice size position and great profit on it. And the other was a smaller size position with just, a smaller take profit. And then I had a trade on the US dollar, Japanese yen, which I got in and got stopped out for 2 pips. All right. Those are the only trades I've taken in 2 weeks. So I have to wonder, are you taking too many trades? Right. I know that there have been trades that we've looked at where I never got into them, right? That did go into profit and I never got an entry on them. And I was on the sidelines, but as you all see and know, I really pick my setups, right? And I'm looking for the good ones. I'm not just taking every signal that occurs. So how many trades have you taken in the past 2 weeks on the demo? And I'm thankfully on the demo. And that's probably what you have to look at, the number of trades you have taken and which trades you're taking. You're not, again, this is a rule-based system where you're taking every signal that occurs. On here, we're not taking every trade signal that occurs by any means. We're looking, we're trading off of support and resistance. We're looking for opportunities. We're looking for which currencies are the strongest and the weakest as we take those trades. We're looking to pile on probability onto our trades. That's nothing. You took 2 trades. I would love to know which trades they are so I could take a look at them right now. What pair was it on? What I'm saying is 2 trades is not enough of a sample to know anything. And that's awesome too. That explains to me also why you're asking if we have any type of, or I'm planning on doing a webinar really explaining the process, because you're interested in learning more. That's fantastic. I mean, it would be highly beneficial to everyone. I'm glad you brought it up, but now I see even more so what we're looking for. Yeah, that's also a very, very good suggestion. Thank you. What pairs did you take those trades on? I want to review them. It's, as you guys have seen every day, I'm reviewing trades, especially trades that I miss. Those are the ones that I'm looking for, and always reviewing all those trades, seeing what happened, learning for the future. But Hanero, what's the trade that didn't work out? I want to take a look at it with you right now and just review it. If you just let me know the pair, I'll take a look at the trade. So again, this trade right now is about 10 pips into profit. The entry was at the high of this price bar. I have my stop down here at 108.30. I'm not going to move anything. I know we're going into the weekend. A lot could happen over the weekend. Simply, if this trade is wrong, it's going to fall apart. We're going to break down outside of this support, this trend line support. And once I break lower than this bar right over here, I know that I'm wrong. And I'm going to exit because I'm wrong. But until then, I will just hold it and see what develops. I'll be looking first around this level to see how price reacts, but I'm looking up here for my take profit. Okay, New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to start on the daily time frame, and then I'm going to drop down to the 8-hour. All right. So what's happened? I'm going to talk through the last 3 days. Last 4 days, we looked at this pair when it was trading. It was really weak. This was on Tuesday. The reason that it was weak, and we discussed this in the live stream, it was very weak because the Central Bank of New Zealand was meeting later that evening, and it was expected that they were going to cut by 25 basis points, and the pair was weak across the board because the market was pricing that in. We discussed in the live stream, and Raj, this is talking about how each event is fluid, and depending on what the high impact news event is, that we'll trade accordingly to it. In this particular case this week, we also discussed that if the central bank cuts by 25 basis points and then talks about they plan on being on pause for the months ahead, that probably this pair would appreciate on that news. The central bank didn't even cut, and the pair did appreciate. And then we also talked about the next day, price was trading up here, and we said, hey, listen, we're near this resistance. We're not going to be chasing after this price now going long. We have to see how price reacts off this resistance. And we noted all of these long wicks where the bulls weren't able to take control and price came back down. The next day, price came off. Yesterday, price was really weak on the Australian dollar. Also, the New Zealand dollar was trading off. Of the two, we said, hey, you need to focus on the Australian dollar, not the New Zealand dollar. And then since price is now back up. So we could see this area of resistance is being felt out. It's still possible price breaks out to the upside. But until that happens and until it closes above here, because all of these times price has not closed above, right? They've been false signals. We're going to wait for a close above this resistance before we begin even looking for longs. So that's what's going on the daily time frame, and that's why we take a top-down approach. That's why we look at the daily time frame first. Then we would. So this pair wasn't even on our radar. We were not looking for any type of trades on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. But let's look at the 8-hour and see. And I look at the 8-hour, and if you were trading this off the 8-hour, I would have waited here for price to be oversold in the uptrend, and then looking for price to take me into the trade. That would have occurred right over here. That would have been the entry on this price bar right here, right? I have trade criteria on this price bar. On this price bar, I have trade criteria. I have the entry CCI down in an uptrend, but I never got a long entry. Same thing here on this price bar. I have trade criteria. I have a down entry CCI pulled back against the uptrend, but price never took me into the trade. And then here I also still have entry, but on the next price bar, the trade triggers. I'm now long the trade. Where's my stop? My stop either would have been at the low of the price bar that I used for entry, or it would have been down here at the previous low. If my stop was down here, this is a safer stop loss. The odds of me taking out of this trade are much less than if they're up here, but my trade must be much smaller. My risk per position must be much smaller to have a stop so far away. Over here, my position side would be perhaps bigger, but I have to get a trade much quicker. So right now, this trade would be into profit. The lowest stop loss I could have would have been down here, the safer stop down here, but this trade right now is into profit. So I hope that helps narrow you reviewing that trade. I'm not sure how you took it, but that's why you're asking for this method to be laid out, to be explained better through both an instructional video and through a PDF, because that's really helpful. I hope that was helpful reviewing that trade. Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, Jeff, we're gonna take a look back at the US dollar, Canadian dollar in just a moment. Just want to close this up here. Yeah, trading off the 1 hour time frame is I trade off the 8 hour time frame mainly, right? All right. I trade off. It's very hard to trade off the 1 hour time frame because you need to be really present all the time. You need to be checking for a new signal every hour of the day. So you need to stare at the screen for 8-12 hours. That's tough. That's not why we got into trading. We got into trading for freedom. Anyway, the 8 hour filters out a lot of noise. That's what we do. That's what we focus on. That's where I want to bring your focus. And excellent. Let's move on, everyone, to the US dollar, Canadian dollar. And before we start looking at that to analyze it and review it and discuss it, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. I have a couple of comments. The possible sell zone you identified on the US dollar, Canadian dollar, several Digos is working out nicely so far. And Jeff wants to talk about that sell zone a little further. Let's review this trade right now because it looks like we're going to close below the daily rising trend line on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Thank you for pointing that out, Paul. I'm going to draw that in to begin with. So this is all subjective. Actually, I'm not going to draw that in because I don't really see it. You could have this. That could be one. It's really what I see. Anyway, I'm drawing it in first, but I'm not drawing it in. And you are correct. The price could be closing below this trend line, but I don't really see the trend line too well. I guess that would be there. Looks pretty good. That does look better, and that looks good. And we are closing above it, and that's an excellent input to add. And again, that's why I want to really get you guys going and really train you guys. The more I do, the more I share with you, the better, the more it's going to increase my trading. I'm just refreshing this trade to get that trend line in on it. I'm refreshing this chart. There's the trend line on the 8 hour. And bear with me one more minute, folks. I need to go ahead and add in the correct true trend. All right, we're all set. So we're going to start on the daily time frame. And on the daily time frame, as you know, and I spoke about this earlier in the live stream, we do have this sell zone that I have drawn in here. The reason I have it drawn in is, first of all, I see a big just taking the perspective, stepping back a bit, we're in a downtrend, right? I see a big downtrend like that. So I was looking only for sell side trades. ever since the Bank of Canada met 2 weeks ago here, there is no disputing the fact that we've been in a sharp uptrend, but this has been a bull move in a downtrend. Okay. And anyone who took these trades over here was able to capitalize off that. That's awesome, right? That's really good, but that's not something that I was even considering or looking for. I was focused during that period actually on the euro US dollar, which was offering this type of trade out of this breakdown of this channel, and was offering nice momentum and trading. But again, it was an opportunity on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. This was a bull move in a downtrend, but I was waiting for, and I had drawn in this sell zone over here. It started at this lower resistance, and then this stronger resistance up here. I had the top of the sell zone, and we were watching this for a while. I was looking for price to come at least halfway into the sell zone to begin looking for shorts, and preferably a little higher. I think that I was a little bit too much of a perfectionist. I was looking for too good of an entry point, and I might not have gotten it. I have to be fluid here. You cannot be a perfectionist. You do want to look for the best setups. You want to look for the pairs that have the most momentum. You want to be, when you have a setup occurring of that pair, if you're trading the strongest and weakest currency pairs of the days, that's going to put probability on your side. But what we happen here now is we still have a possible rejection of this resistance area. Let's look at the 8-hour time frame and let's see what's happening, right? As Paul just noted, we are breaking down below this trend line. That's going to signal to us it's time to sell. And we're also trading, if we're trading below this resistance, that's also a signal to sell. The true trend is rolling over. That's also a signal to sell. Where will I take the entry? I'm sure you all know it, right? I'm sure you all know that I'm not going to take the entry on the break, which could be awesome. And if you go back to whether it's the euro US dollar that's taken place recently, the break of the trend and then that test up of the broken support to be resistance was a good trade. I should be on the 8-hour here with you. Here you had the broken trend line. This is happening right now on the Canadian dollar, US dollar. Let me go ahead. No, I'm just going to stick with you. And then here, when you had the test of broken support was resistance, right there is the perfect entry, right? And that's what I'm looking for. I didn't take it. This was the perfect entry. I took my entry down here. It wound up being a nice trade. On the US dollar, Canadian dollar, though, the only way I will get short this pair, I'm not going to take. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I am all sorts of off. I was just looking this on the daily time frame. You see that zero line cross happening on the daily time frame. It's not on the 8-hour. I'm looking for my trade off the 8-hour. So what I am waiting for, if you do really pick your trend line, Paul, you see what really happened here, and you could see that's a beautifully drawn trend line. It shows the break you spoke about much better, and it shows the retest right there much better. And then you could have a possible entry as soon as this price bar. That's a valid entry right here, right now. You have the stop loss above here. If price trades back up to 132.76, right around that area, you're wrong. It's above this last swing high, and it's also back into this above this trend line. This is a good trade to take. You're trading against the near-term trend, but you are trading right here below this resistance line, and it's an aggressive trade. I'm not taking it. I like my US dollar Japanese yen trade a lot better here. It just looks like it's working out better. This is one that I will be following and seeing if we get a breakdown a little bit further. You could see that you have near-term support to watch out for. here's the support. I have support broken, tested as resistance, tested as resistance, tested as resistance. So it's not offering much opportunity. This would be your first take profit. I suppose now looking at this with you, where I'm going to get into this trade will be a break of this support. And the reason will being is because by then I will have my true trend rolling over to the negative side. I will have a lot more momentum with me. This is an aggressive entry and it's a good one. We looked at it and we see why it's a good one. And again, if you look back at the Euro US dollar, when you see a similar pattern playing out recently, it looks similar to this. And this, what if you get in the trade up here, it gives you a lot more opportunity to ride it out and play with it and stick with it. But I'm just going to wait here and wait to see how this develops. Because obviously we could just roll back into this sell zone, and any type of test of this, we had a test already, but any future test of that trend line, make sure that it holds as resistance, will provide also another opportunity. So I don't know if that question, I'm not taking that trade right now on the 8 hour on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. It is Friday. It is Friday, rolling into the afternoon. I'm not, it is a valid trade if someone wants to take it, and it might wind up being a good trade, but I just laid out exactly what I'm looking at. You would also have a take profit, right? If you get into this trade today, you might have to look at taking profit if we fall into, if we fall into profit another little bit here, another 20 pips or so. You do have support over here. You don't know what's going to happen. Although I would, looking over your shoulder, I would say, yeah, I like that you saw this trend line break. I wasn't even watching that, and I like it, and I'm glad you saw that, and I like that we're now trading back below this resistance. You have price taking us back into the trend. You have a really defined stop loss. It's a good trade. I'm not taking it yet. And again, we could look at this over here. We were watching this together. Again, this is similar to the US dollar, Canadian dollar. This was the aggressive entry up here, right? We knew that earlier in the week that price had broken this trend line and this trend line as well, this support. We had just broken below double support. We were looking for possible shorts to develop. Over here on this price bar, you had that test of this resistance. Support became resistance, and then price resumed downwards. This is kind of where we are right now with the US dollar, Canadian dollar. And this would have been the good entry, and I never got into it. And I wish I had. It would have been the trade of the week. I didn't get into it, and it again, it offers potential, but it's a little more risky. If we, now that we've broken down, we came back up here, we're testing this resistance right here, right now. I should draw that line in for future reference. All right, we're testing that. If we're rejected here, I have trade criteria on the 8 hour downtrend with the entry CCI pulled up. If that's a trade I want to take. I like that trade, and if it happens, I'm going to get into this one. Again, I didn't get into this one. It was fantastic. That could be what's happening right now on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. But again, I'm just looking for my trades, the trades that I like, and I'm willing to take less trades and have a higher, a higher trade percentage on this type of trading. Yep. So I agree. 1.32 area looks strong, but setup is good. Yep. Maybe. So yeah, I do agree that this area looks like it is some support in there. And again, this could provide a nice trade today. If you see price start, making new lows over here on the 8-hour time frame, there's a good chance we take a shot at this support over here, and you can get into it. But yeah, on the flip side, to me, it's late on Friday. The possibility of this trade developing into something nice looks much more solid next week. So this is something that we just want to keep watching and waiting to develop. I can't talk anyone out of this trade right now if they wanted to go ahead and take it. I'm not. I do believe that we'll get better opportunity on it at a different point. Nope, Monero, I'm not selling. I am waiting and standing aside. And again, and not much happening with this trade. What did I say? See, in about 10 minutes, we at 11 o'clock Eastern time, we'll see after then whether or not price picks up a little bit more and these current trends resume, or that's it for the day, But I'm just going to be holding this trade. I know if I'm wrong, when I'm wrong. And again, it is fluid. I didn't have my go-to setup here, right? I didn't have price pull back against the trend. I didn't have my, like over here, right? You have the uptrend, you have the entry CC pull back, and then the trend resumes and I get into it. I didn't have that textbook setup over here, but I had talked you through it yesterday. I had talked about that I was looking as price came into the lower support of this rising wedge, right? That when and if this breaks down, looks like it could be a good trade, right? Rising wedges tend to offer a lot of potential if they break down. This is a downtrend. This is a rising wedge in a downtrend. If this breaks, we might get a nice trade there. But price yesterday was trading below this support. And I said, if it closes below, we'll now be looking for sells, but it didn't. It got back into the trend channel. I had said in the live stream yesterday, if we bounce off of this, I will take an entry off the 8-hour. That's why I took that premature of having my trade criteria. But it was a trade that was planned out in advance. I liked the fact that we broke below but didn't close, right? Because you get some people who sell prematurely here, and when you get the people caught on the wrong side of the market, it gives a lot of fuel, and that's why I did take that trade. All right, everyone, I'm going to tie this up for today. I am going to later this afternoon go ahead and prepare our weekly Forex forecast for the week ahead so that we have time over the weekend to take that 15 minutes and make sure that we're all on the same page, that we have this fresh perspective of our trading plan. And then we refine that every day together. Every morning, we're refining that plan, seeing how things are developing and moving and trading accordingly. One aspect of that was here on the US dollar, Japanese yen, because we were trading what we were looking for, a triangle breakout. We did not have this rising wedge pattern drawn in. And what we were looking at we were looking to see if we got something like this happening. That's the pattern we were focused on. I believe this line was. Here's what we're looking at. This is exactly what we're looking at. We would look for this break here. We were looking as the test of it, but it failed over here. And this is the pattern we were looking at. And then as things developed further, we noticed that, you know what, this looks like a rising wedge. And that's what we were trading. And things change, things develop, things are fluid. That's trading. And we just adapt in real time as that happens and as that occurs. Jeff, I do take trades before. The question is if I take trades before the close of the 8-hour price bar, yes, always. And that's with price taking me into the trade. For example, let me look for the best possible way to show you right here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. If I was taking this as a short trade, and so I don't want to confuse anyone, the true trend is trading up, right? But if I was, for all intents and purposes, playing this naked, playing this off this trend line break, and then I had this retest up here of the broken support, which is holding so far as resistance. And after the close of this price bar, if I was setting a sell order, which would be at the low of this price bar right here, right? If I was set at 1.3221, if minus 1 pip, if that's where I had my sell order in, on this next price bar, it triggered. I didn't wait for the close of this price bar. It's still open and the trade would have triggered. What I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to explain is after the close of this price bar, the previous price bar, I set my order and then it triggers live before the close of the current price bar. Does that make sense? So on this system right here, on this black and white system, we always wait for the close of the price bar before entering the trade. And the reason we do that is to confirm that we have a signal on the true trend BTC, right? We always wait. It's black and white. We always wait for the close of the price bar. We then on the opening, on the close, on the open of the following price bar, enter the trade, take the trade. On this, on the way that we trade currencies on a day-to-day basis, right? For example, if you were playing this breakout here on the pound, right? Let's say over here, this is earlier in the session, I said this is a pattern that I'm going to be exploring. I'm going to be doing research in. But if you have a zero line crossover and then you get a down price bar without the entry set coming back, I'm going to look to see whether or not that is a valid price pattern we could employ in the future. I'm trying to give you guys a really clear, good example. Over here, this would have been a trade that stopped out, right? Over here, if I was taking this trade, I had a negative trend. I had the entry CCI pulled back right here. I'm looking for entries. What is my entries? My entries, if price takes out the low of the previous price bar. That didn't occur here on this price bar. That never occurred. So then I moved my entry to the low of this price bar right here. After this price bar closes, I set my entry to right here, the low of this previous price bar. On this next price bar, that trade would have triggered, right? During this price bar, this price bar is still open. The trade would have occurred because it was set off the close of this one. Does that make sense? You do wait for the close of the signal price bar to set it, but then it's going to trigger before this price bar closes, the current one you're on. Like right now, this price bar, this 8-hour price bar is open. And if I have an open order, it could get triggered on this price bar. I don't wait for the close of that one. Is there confusion there, or does that make sense? The way it's being worded sounds like where the confusion was. Gold is offering a possible short opportunity, waiting to see how that one develops. That might not be until Monday. That'll be towards the top of the list. Awesome. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing this whole week with me. And today there was some really good input inserted by a bunch of you, and I appreciate that. I'm really looking forward to just continuing building each other up and learning more in that way from each other. And you guys are all a joy. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I will talk to you soon.